Hey, y'all. Hey, Spencer. We're swapped around again.
Huh?
We're swapped around again.
Yeah, but I know you do it on purpose. Just like that.
Shazam. Here we are.
And we're live.
That's real close. Hold on. Hey, y'all. Let's try this.
There we go.
That looks better.
They probably didn't mind looking at you that close, but Greg and I, they wanted some space.
No.
Some
Listen.
distance. Hey, everybody. What?
We was almost over ugly in the thing. Hey, look here. I've made it plumb. Here we are this many days after the 4th, and I can still count to 10.
Yeah. That's what's important. What y'all do? What'd y'all do for the 4th?
Look at mine. I broke the shit out of mine. You didn't do nothing. We didn't do nothing. We just watched everybody else shoot off fireworks around the house. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
We had a good 4th, man. We just hung around here, went to the local parade, and then watched the fireworks that night. We smoked a bunch, or I smoked a bunch of meat. A while helped me, and we just had family and friends over. Just had
Y'all done
Misty,
what, like
y'all
80
smoke
things? Well, yeah, no, I'm not even going to say what I was thinking.
Anyway, hello to everybody in chat, the moderators that are in there. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Hope everybody had a great 4th of July weekend. Before I forget about it, it is Pyromedic's birthday today. Ain't that right?
That's right.
Pyro.
Happy birthday, Pyro.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Jeff
birthday,
Yarrington's birthday was like what, yesterday?
Yesterday or day before?
Yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Pat and Joe Parker did a interview. I forget the channel, but Mark Green is on here. He knows the channel. But anyway, the link is posted in the Woodwalkers Facebook page. There's a really good interview right there. But also, there's a hurricane coming in. I'm sure there are people that need prayers. I see Christy's in here, so she must be feeling a lot better. Thank you for that. Hello, Robert Den Donovan. But anyway, I'm froze up. Ah, shit.
Yeah.
Here we go.
We're just going to let you keep talking, though.
Yeah, he'll be back. Well, and hey, look, for everybody, I know ain't probably ain't that many people in here yet, but on Woodwalker's Facebook page, I did post my white sauce recipe.
It's really good. I like it. I dipped rolls in it and thought it was good.
Hey, it's really good to just take bread and dip in it and eat it. It's good.
Yes.
And it's sugar free. That's what I meant to tell everybody. It's sugar free. So if you're like me,
vinegar.
Yeah, if you're cursed with the diabetes, yeah, you can have all that you want because there's no sugar in it.
What's up with Wendell?
I don't know. I don't know what Wendell. I noticed Wendell's going to have to go in for a procedure or something, and I meant to. Maybe Mark can fill us in. Surely he knows, but Wendell will be keeping you in her thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that. Wendell, let us know what the deal is. What's going on? Well, I don't want. Hey, Al, how are you, buddy? I don't want to keep these guys waiting. This is going to be a good show. So, a lot of us know these people personally. Pat and Willie don't hardly ever do interviews. I kind of halfway twisted their arm last time I was down there seeing them in Alabama. Mr. Mark Green, Willie, Pat Rance, how are y'all?
All right.
Hey, fellas.
Looking good.
All right. Well, guys, they've got a lot to cover. So the basic overall thing is that Pat and Willie have been to Creepy Mountain several times and a bunch of other places. They currently live in Florida, but they still come up there. In fact, Pat might be moving to Alabama soon. But anyway, they know Mark. They've been going up there to the same the Creepy Mountain, to the same spot for years now. They've got a lot of experiences of their own. Mark was with them for a lot of the stuff, but not all of it. So he's here to weigh in on kind of some of the stuff. But Pat and Willie, how on earth did you get into the crazy ass Bigfoot thing? How did that even start?
One of the BFRO, whatever the hell you call it, expeditions here in Florida. That's where Pat and I met. That's
Yeah,
In Florida?
2006, I think it was.
06, yeah.
A BFRO expedition. How'd that go?
It was a cluster, you know what?
Do what?
It was a cluster, you know what?
Misty, did
I hosted it at my cabin. It was like headquarters for that whole deal.
It's turned all the way up.
we can't hardly hear you, Pat. You're even more muffled now than you were backstage.
I think it's his mic. Yeah, it's turned all the way up.
I don't know. Right there, you sounded good.
I know for me, it was the first time I got to hear a whoop. And I heard it a couple times.
At the BFRO outing?
Yeah. The coyotes were going off, and then there was a whoop, and they shut up. And then they slowly got louder again. You know how the coyotes get going? And then there was another whoop, and they shut down and didn't come back. But that was my first sound from hearing Bigfoot.
Well, did anything happen at that first outing that convinced you? I mean, sure, you heard a whoop, but was there anything spectacular or really impressive that convinced you that boogers were real at that outing?
No, it convinced me how gullible some people are, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I mean, what even piqued your interest to start going to want to go to a BFRO outing? Did something happen before that made you want to sign up for it?
I'd always been interested in Bigfoot since I saw the Patterson tape, as a little kid. But I was even on the BFRO website when they were just white pages, looking up. And then when they started doing their expeditions, one came in Florida, I said, I'm going to try it out, because I go to the woods all the time, but I never went specifically to look for this.
Yeah.
That's kind of the same with me as well.
Now, Pat, you were on the group forums way back in the day, before there was a lot of like Facebook pages and everything, weren't you?
I was, and the biggest one was in old Alabama for Bigfoot Forum. That's where I met Mark. They did like a group outing over there at Creepy Mountain way back in 2007. Mark, is that what it was, or 8?
2008.
2008, and I went to that. That's when I met Mark and Keith and a bunch of the other people up there, and just fell in love with the place. It's beautiful up there, and got to know a lot of other people in the town there, and I've been going up there. I've been a member of the Hundley since 2009.
That's a good amount of time.
Yeah, 15 years.
Yeah.
What was you saying, Mark?
Yeah, it was around 2009 when he joined the hunting club, and he's been coming a couple of times every year, since then.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, how long does it take y'all to go from where you live up there to Creepy Mountain driving?
It's just about exactly 500 miles, 8 hours, door to door.
Dadgum, you're on down in Florida then.
Yeah, we're both right around Orlando, just on the north side of Orlando. We're about 20 minutes apart, maybe, but fairly close to each other. So yeah, it's a pretty good haul.
It was almost the exact same distance for Pat and Willie and I. I was coming from northern, and they were coming from the southern part. And, we both got there right at the same time. I think it's 513 miles for me, but it was pretty much the same distance. So
yeah.
So how did you start going? Like when you went to Creepy Mountain for the first time, have you ever met Mark and Keith and all them before the first time that you went there?
I had never met them, but we were talking through the forums and stuff, like on the chat and emails and different things like that. We may have even talked on the phone once or twice. I don't recall it a long time ago, but
But you went up there after talking to Mark and knowing that there were boogers on Creepy Mountain. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And then, Mark, this is after you and Keith had been doing it for a while and had already met Mr. White and knew that there were boogers there and all that, and then you brought Pat into it, huh?
Yeah, me and Keith had been researching, and of course, Mr. Tao was coming, or Bill White was coming. And then we had an outing in May of 2008, and that's how we met Pat. A bunch of other people, during that time period come to that outing. And we had one more outing up there, a pretty good size one. Then from then on, it went real small. And it was a few years later when Willie started coming with Pat up some. And some other people have come over the years with Pat from Florida and some other places.
So, okay. Tell us some of the stuff, kind of start at the beginning. What was some of the stuff that happened at Creepy Mountain and you were like, damn, Mark wasn't kidding, they're up here?
You talking about Spencer?
Oh, go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. He froze up a minute, so I didn't know who he was speaking to for a minute.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I'll just jump out there. The first couple trips, the first outing that I went up there, first time I went up there, I heard some vocalizations and stuff. They were doing some calls, Mark and a couple of other folks, and we heard some return calls and a different, and then like the next trip. During that outing, Mark's sister-in-law and Mark had face-to-face sighting with one, probably 20, 30 feet away, while they're not far from where you came with us, Spencer. Right there at that intersection, what we call the three-way.
Yeah.
Right. They were standing right there. Mark can tell you about it. I wasn't there, but of course I've heard it, that story a bunch of times. But and at every trip up there, just about I'm hearing wood knocks or vocalizations, and then started having some pretty good encounters up there. I think they kind of got comfortable with me being there because I went so often. And I first got my little booger buggy trailer and started hauling that out there and parking by the lake a lot of times. And I think they kind of got familiar with me, to be honest with you. And they started getting a little bit bolder and closer, as time went on. So, and I brought Willie up there, and I think his first trip, he saw one. We were hiking way down in the back. I'm not going to mention specific trails or anything, but we were hiking along this creek bed way down in the back. It's got real big high bluffs on the sides. We took you over there, Spencer, that day. We were walking along that creek bed. But I'll let Willie tell you what he saw.
Yeah, how things have changed since when I saw this thing.
Yeah, Pat already spilled the beans. He just jumps right to you. Willie, you had a sighting. Tell us all about it.
Well, Keith was walking us down one of these creeks that's out there, and just going along, and I kept hearing something. We all kept hearing something up on top of one of the ridges, but didn't think any of it until it was time. We turned around and started heading back, and then it started heading back with us. And I just, as we were coming back, I kept hanging back further and further from the group. And at one point, there's a place where the hill comes down and then goes back up on the other side where we're hearing something walking across the top. So I knew it had to go through that transition if it was going to keep following me. So once I turned the corner, I got behind this huge pine tree. It was big enough to hide me, you know. And then I heard something right above me, again up on the hill. So I turned around and looked, and as I'm looking up there, I see this head just slowly come up from behind this log that was laying across a rock. And it slowly came up, and it was getting dark, so it was really just a silhouette and a little bit of shade in the face, because I saw a little bit of a nose, and that was really about it. And everybody asked me, what did it look like? To me, it looked like a long-haired hippie, because I didn't see where, you know, it was just it wasn't a cone shaped. It was just a regular head, and it didn't stop. You know, the hair that didn't stop or whatever. And it popped up, and then it slowly went back down. And there was someone that came back to get me. And as they were walking up, I was watching it come up. So I grabbed their arm and I pointed. And by the time I pointed, the head was already going back down. But then something shot off to the left. And I usually, things like that, I wonder if my eyes are messing with me. So I kind of said, did you see anything? And they said, yeah, I saw a shadow shoot off to the left, you know, right away from where you were pointing. And so that, to me, that confirmed that I was seeing what I saw, you know, and it was so fast, I didn't hear it anymore. It was just like, I always say it's remind me of the cartoons, the old Roadrunner cartoons, where Coyote is there and then he's gone real quick with the shadow left, you know, of shadow of him running left. And that's what I saw. It freaked me out. And then it was, the rest of the time was like surreal, you know.
Willie, how far from you was it?
Distance?
Yeah.
I'd say maybe 40 yards at the most, 30 maybe, 30, 40 yards. But it was up on the top of this kind of bluff that came down. And
yeah.
We tried climbing up there a couple times after that, but I don't see how it was walking up there.
What that was right as it was getting dark, so you guys were heading back to camp after that then?
Yes. Yeah.
Did anything happen that night? Were there any vocalizations? Anything come close to camp? Anything?
I don't even remember. It was so long ago.
Well,
to be honest with you.
What's that?
I said, I don't even remember. It was so long ago. I've been up there so many times, I can't remember which trip was which. But,
yeah, they kind of blend together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly after that. I don't think so. But there was another time when Pat sent me up from the four-way to go check out this road. He told me that's where Mark had his sighting right there, standing right there. And he goes, go up the road and check it out. And and this is at night, you know, and so I walked up the road, but I always kept them in my sight off the road until I thought I heard something. So I walked a little further and then I whistled and I got an immediately responsive whistle back. And kind of freaked me out a little bit, you know, but it drew me further in. And that's I got, and then I finally realized this thing's trying to draw me away because I couldn't no longer see them down the road. So I went back and I told them, and we came back up there. Pat came back up there we had two other people with us, and we were standing by the side of the road as Pat was walking in where I was telling him I heard the movement and the whistle, and he's got two rocks clacking them together, trying to, I guess, get the thing's attention. But next thing we know, a rock dropped right between us, right on the road right there. I think that was the same time that I had my sighting. But other than that, I don't really remember.
On the tongue popping. Really? Maybe you can do it loud. Most people, DA. I can't get it to work. Although I know other people that say that they do with the tongue popping. Mark, what do you recall? Were you there with them the first time or two that they come up to Creepy Mountain?
Yeah, I've been up there just about every time they ever come. Now, I didn't ever camp out much since I only live a couple of miles from the hunting club. I don't camp out up there much. And but I usually come and stay, 11, 12 o'clock at night, or stuff was going on, I'd stay a little longer. But excuse me. But a lot of times I'd leave too, just to where they could have a better experience, with less people there.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Well, I mean, half the time, Pat camps out by himself up there. I mean, I know you camped out up there by the lake by yourself quite a bit, Pat. Do you think they come in closer to you whenever it's just you there?
Well, I've had them come in, and one night I was asleep right there at the lake, and woke up and that thing was shaking back and forth.
Hold on.
Yeah. And then I heard.
Hold on a second.
Can't hear you, Pat.
Yeah, Pat. Maybe jump out and jump back in and see if we can't tweak it coming back in.
Okay.
Thanks. This ain't gonna be much of a show if the main guy that was supposed to do a lot of the speaking can't be heard.
He gonna have to learn sign language.
But then you got to have.
I don't know if he's using his phone. The mic seems muffled, so if he's using his phone, it may be the way he's got his phone setting.
I don't know.
I don't know. I've got it turned all the way up.
I will throw this out. I don't know. I have seen somebody sitting right here in this group that's actually used like sign language, basic sign language for Bigfoot. And I thought that was really cool. She come up with that, I reckon, all by herself, and watched her wander out in the weeds. We thought we was going to reel her back in. Well, man, yeah, but I mean, we man, Mark Noble was like, it's like one of us got to go get her. Like, yeah, we're gonna have to.
She was wandering off on her own.
Yeah, you have to watch her. She's a wanderer.
All right, say something now, Pat.
All right, Mr. Pat, let's hear you say something.
Can you hear me now?
Not at all.
No. No.
Talk a little louder.
Are you using your phone?
I don't know what he's doing. He works on computers for a living. Figure this problem out, Pat.
I wonder if that's the internal mic in the computer or if that's a plug-in mic. plug back.
It's internal.
I can use my phone.
Well, you could jump on and use your phone then.
Yeah. Robbie, look.
I can talk on the phone and you can see you, right?
I have no idea what he just said.
I don't know. But look, yeah, he's got the curse of Robbie Raines right now. Robbie's, it's not when it's going to happen, or not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. Every show him and DA do.
Well, the other night, hey, I will say this on DA's show last night. Robbie, it happened to you at least once. It happened to DA a couple times, and it happened to Steve once. But it's like your volume would go out, just go out, and then it would start to come back on 20 seconds later, but it was like someone was turning the volume back up gradually. It was weird. I've never seen that before.
You don't never see that because you're usually in bed time their show's going.
Well, I won last night and I saw it. I lead a busy life. It takes talent to be that consistent. Look at him. Look at him.
Yes, guaranteed.
Go although I was getting ready to go into saying thank you so much for all the shout outs from you and DA. We need to raise $50,000, people, so we can go to Portlock, Alaska.
Yeah, it's all their fault because I had a dream about going to Portlock last night.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well, anyway,
You gonna camp on the
My
island?
daughter's on the way back from Alaska.
Really,
your daughter is.
And she's been up there for 2 weeks.
man.
wow.
That'd be nice. What she just
So,
she take a cruise? Does she know someone up there or what?
Her boyfriend's mom and dad all went up there, so they got to go with them. So
Wow.
they drove to Alaska from Ohio. They're driving back to Ohio from Alaska.
Good God.
But they wanted to go across country and see everybody, see everything. So
That's not a trip. That's a journey.
yeah,
An adventure.
that's a
I-
drive.
Yeah.
My mom and sister and them just got back off from a trip. They were doing that for a week. They went to
Yeah.
Texas and Arkansas and I think the Grand Canyon. I don't know where all they wound up going, but they done a road trip driving for a week.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. If you go somewhere like that and had plenty of time to do it, that'd be awesome. But like me, I don't never have time to do nothing.
Well, Willie, tell us some of the other stuff that's happened up there while we're waiting on Mr. Rance.
Well, Pat always tells it better, but there he is.
All right, now say something, Pat.
Can you all hear me now?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
That's better.
Well, okay. I can't see the studio, so to speak. Trying to figure
I'll
it out.
pop you up or whatever questions if it's.
Yeah, well, as far as the comments go, we'll throw them up on the screen if it's any of it.
I can barely hear you, and I can't see the screen with my phone.
Spencer
You
was
can't
cutting
see
out
the-
that time.
You can't see any of us.
No, I'm logged in with my phone. I can't see anybody, and I can barely hear you. It's like a white screen.
What the heck is going on?
Men in Black. Men in Black.
Hold on a minute.
I don't know. Willie and Mark might have to carry on. Oh, wait a minute. All right, hold on. We're getting something here. We're getting a little bit of something here. Let's see if I turn it silent. I can see now. I can see y'all. I barely hear you, and I got the way up. So we'll just try it. Go ahead. I don't want to hold up the show.
Pat, go back out. Go back out and go ahead and flip the phone before you come in and come in with it sideways and see if that sets it up different for you.
Okay, I'll try it.
Yeah. Man, we're off to a great start today.
Hey, look, we're still doing pretty
Shit
good.
happens sometimes.
All right, what were you saying, Willie?
I was saying that Pat tells it better.
Yeah, I know. But Pat ain't here to tell it.
There was that time at the four-way I just told you about for me, and then there was I forget what field it is, but it's no longer on the on part of the property that the hunting club that Mark's in can go on anymore. But we walked into this. It's because Keith was saying something that it's more paranormal kind of stuff. But he was saying that he was getting mind speaked, and they were telling him that they were angry at Pat because we were at that time we'd moved to the other side of the of the lease, the hunting lease up there. And but he was getting it on. I thought it was field 4, but it wasn't field 4. But anyway, so Pat and I went back to the field, and it was the strangest thing. Across the field, I was seeing fence posts, right? And we had been there in a day, and I didn't remember the fence posts. So that's why it stuck out to me. And then over to the left was the shooting house at the end of this field. This field was probably, I don't know what, 60, 70 yards by 40 yards wide or something like that. And
Probably.
we came up there and we walked into where we were at the entrance, and Pat wanted to go first because, he was why we were coming there, because they were angry at him. And I couldn't help myself, but I stepped up beside him, and then I whistled. Like I told you, I always whistle when I'm out there, so they know that it's me. That's my thing that I do. And we heard 2 rocks clack together over by the shooting house. And I got it on audio too, but I couldn't find the clip. It's been a while. And then I think I whistled again, and we heard another clap or crack from over there. But then one of the other people that were with us wandered out into the middle of the field. So I went out there to get them, to bring them back, because, it was just it was really strange feeling out there. It was just different. And as I look to the right, I'm seeing movement back and forth. Now these trees are planted pines out there, and, rows of planted pines. And behind these pines, I was seeing movement, something coming out and going back, like, moving back and forth like this. And I was only halfway out in the field to the other side, and I'm still seeing those fence posts too, So I grabbed this person, and when we went back out. Well, later on, the next day, we went back to that field. There's no fence post on the other side. And the wood line, it was all different. It was still planted pines. It just seemed a lot differently. That was one of the freaky times I had out there.
What do you think
Stuff
the fence post
with your
was?
head. I don't know, but there was also, that's right. Heath had told us there was an arch on the other side, but I don't remember seeing an arch over there. I just remember seeing those fence posts. But that was just one of the weird times.
Pat, what did you do to piss off the boogers?
From what Keith was saying, that everyone's always thought there's 2 different groups up there. One group over by the lake and one group over on that far side. And I normally camped over by the lake on that half, and then this particular time we camped way on the other side. Keith was saying that the group over by the lake was upset with me because I was over there with the other group, in their territory. So that's what Keith was saying. I didn't, I don't know. I didn't hear any mind speak or anything like that. Just going by what Keith was telling us. But it kind of freaked me out. I don't want them things mad at me because I'm up there by myself a lot,
Right. Mark, do you have any reason to believe there's more than one unit of them up there? More than one family, more than one group?
Yeah. Me and Mr. Tao, he said that the amount of activity that me and Keith were getting during that time period, with the vocals we were getting, them coming up real close on us, doing everything they was doing, he thinks there was possibility of 2 groups. This place is huge now. I mean, just the hunting club itself at one time was 10,000 acres. Now, that's not counting all the private land around it that doesn't have anything on it either. So if you total that in, you're talking about 20,000 acres east. That's just farmland and woods with houses here and there and yonder, plus a pretty good size right to the west of it, and a lot of creeks and water, and a lot of woods to the south. Go across 2 paved roads and you can go into another county. It's just nothing but timber. 3/4 of that county is timber. So you're talking about a big, gigantic area, and the amount of stuff we had go on for a while, me and him both and Keith felt like there was two different groups on that mountain. And maybe at different times they come in there and kind of had little fusses with each other. Because when we first started doing the vocals, we were getting rough vocals back. We was getting the T-Rex. We were getting the screaming. That's when we was getting the rocks thrown, the sticks thrown. And over time, all that just started gradually, calming down. And then it got where it was more, I guess, more peaceful encounters where they're just peeping out around the trees at you and making their little whoops and the little tapping sounds and all that, And that's one reason we believe that. And two, because one time you'd have a hunter on this end of the club say, hey, I had something going on. But the same day, a club member on the other end of the club, we're talking about 9 miles across from each other, would come back and be saying, hey, something's going on over here on this side of the club. They didn't know it was Bigfoot, and it may have not been, but they were hearing vocals from opposite side of the club in the same day, day. So it's another reason we started thinking maybe two different groups up here on that place.
Gotcha. Calm down, Patrick.
I'm not staring at you. I'm trying to type and read.
Now, Pat, before whenever you were breaking up real bad, we couldn't hear you. And I said about you camping out at the lake a lot by yourself in that booger buggy, which the booger buggy is really cool, by the way. But you've had them come right up to the camper while you're there by yourself, right? Push the camper.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you saw the layout there, but I'll explain it for everyone that's listening. There's a lake there, and then there's like a little creek that flows out of it, so to speak. And and it's maybe, even when it's flowing really heavy, it's only about 15 feet wide. And it's not very deep. It's just kind of like a little overflow. And it flows mostly year round. But anyways, on the opposite side is a little hill ride, a little rise. It's all rock face, solid rock face. And when I'm up there, as long as it's not real cold weather, I got all the windows open on my little camper on all 4 sides. So I was sleeping with my head to the back of the trailer, which was facing that little creek behind me in that rock face. And one night I woke up, I heard like running footsteps. It was like 3, maybe 4 running footsteps, real heavy, through the back window up, right behind my head. And then it got quiet for like, I don't know, 2 seconds, let's say. This all happened really fast. And then running foot, I heard a real loud, like land, like it jumped and landed on my side of that little creek, and then ran right through the middle of my, between where the little fire ring was and my camper. So that's, I don't know, 15, 16 feet, in between me and where the little fire was. It was probably out by at that time, and it was pitch black. But I heard it run right through the length of my trailer and then run up the dirt road the other way where you guys camped the first time. So the sound of those running, thudding footsteps first was through the window behind me, and then the big window on the side, and then out the front window. And I was like, holy shit, it woke me up out of a dead sleep, and I'm up there all by myself, and I was like, holy crap, what the hell was that? And of course, I'm awake now for a while, but I heard it kind of run off up the road the opposite way. It came from behind me and ran past and then went that way. And another time up there, it was probably maybe the next year, I'm thinking. I've been up there so many times, I can't tell you what year, but yeah, it's probably 2012 or 14 in that range, probably, I'm thinking. But I was asleep in there and I woke up, my trailer was being pushed back and forth like this. And again, I woke up and like, holy, what the hell? And then I just heard kind of running footsteps off, So I think they're just playing with you, they're just trying to see your reaction. And of course, when you're up there all by yourself, it's, and it brings you out of a dead sleep, it definitely gets your attention. You're awake for another hour, just listening to everything outside, Yeah. So.
But I think that's the point. I think they meant to wake you up. I mean,
absolutely. Absolutely. It's like, I kind of liken it to like high school kids ringing the doorbell and running, you know. It's kind of like that. You know, so let's go mess with this human or this person over there and see what kind of reaction we get, you know. So that's what I think they're doing. And matter of fact, the first time I went up there, and Mark, you'll remember this, Mr. Towel was there, and he was parked right there in his little camper. I kind of patterned mine after his. He had a camper, a little cargo box camper, and it was bare bones. He just had a little cot in it and stuff. But he had it parked. I usually park next to the water's edge. He was parked next to the drop-off on the backside there where it's real steep, and there's a four-wheeler trail down there. And he was up there laying in his cot, awake apparently, and he heard something outside his window, he was parked right on the edge, so it's almost a 45-degree drop-off right next to his tires, going straight down, 45 degrees. And he heard something outside, like that window, like bushes rustling, just real faint, he said. And then the next day I arrived, and all the other people were arriving in. And he was over on the other side of that little spillway, that little creek on that high side, where a couple of us were standing over talking. And he says, "What is that on my roof?" And he saw I saw the rock. It was shaped like a small watermelon. And I bet it weighed 30 or 40 pounds. It was placed on his roof so gently that he didn't even hear it on the roof. He just heard footsteps outside the window. And it was heavy. It was huge. So whatever walked up that hillside was standing 2 feet, 3 feet lower than his floor of his trailer, and was able to reach up and put it on the roof so gently he didn't even hear it inside. You remember that, Mark?
Oh yeah, he was mad as a firecracker because he thought somebody was pulling a prank on him.
Yeah.
And we all got to looking and said, "Mr. Towel, it takes somebody with a ladder to put that rock up there." And then he stopped and started thinking. He said, "You right, Mark." Yeah. He said it won't take somebody with a ladder to set that up there. And he was hot about it at first. Then he realized that it had really happened, that somebody wasn't pulling his leg on that. So
he was up there for a couple of days by himself. Sorry, the phone was ringing. He was up there by himself several days before the rest of everyone started trickling in for that outing. Okay.
Spencer done MIA. So, Pat, I guess y'all got to be around Mr. Towel. Y'all got to be around Mr. Towel pretty good little bit then.
I did, yeah. I think if I remember right, it was only that first one outing where he was there when I was there. Yeah. So I did get to meet him and, spent 2 or 3 days that weekend. We went hiking and walking and, socializing with him and stuff. And let me tell you, that man was a wealth of information. He was just the nicest gentleman you ever want to meet. World traveler, and just a wealth of information on literally any subject, but especially the Bigfoot subject.
Yes, sir.
And if anyone's ever read his books, I would highly recommend finding them on Amazon or wherever you can locate them and purchase them, because they're not going to be printing anymore. I think there's 2 of them. I only have 1 of them, but it talks about all this different research areas. Mark and Keith is in a couple of chapters.
Yeah,
up there at Creepy Mountain and different places over in that part of Alabama.
Yeah, so, me and my dad are in that book too.
All right, we'll have to talk later. I didn't know that. We'll have to chat.
And the book is called Southern Bigfoot Files by Tal Branco. And it's no longer in print, but you can get the downloadable version off Amazon for like $5. It's absolutely one of the best books out there.
Oh, wait, that's not it. That's a different one. Sorry.
I think the other one's about Arkansas or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. I got it around here somewhere.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Tal is how I met him by sheer accident, and he's the one that introduced me to Coonbo, and that's how me and Coonbo got.
Okay. Yeah, me too. I mean, way back in the Alabama Forum, that's where I met Coonbo and the whole crew. You too, way back when.
Yeah.
Well, now, So you guys, you've spent a lot of time at Creepy Mountain, but you live in Florida, and you've also looked for stuff around Florida. Before we get to the Florida stuff, have you been anywhere else? Have you been, Mississippi, Arkansas, anything looking for boogers?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you find?
Well, I've been in several places in Mississippi, Texas, and Oklahoma one trip. And I had a lot of crazy there was one trip in particular in Mississippi. It was a lady that I met through that Alabama forum. She would come on there and relate things that were going on around their property. And they were in south central area of Mississippi. So after chatting with her through the chat, through the website and all, we traded phone numbers and stuff. And I talked with her husband several times and finagled myself an invitation out there. It's the first time I went with a tent. And it was crazy, man. Some of the wood knocks that were going on, it sounded like cannon shots. And it was not just once or twice. It was literally off and on all night, just echoing and booming everywhere, different directions. It was crazy. And they had seen at least one of them on their property, even in the daylight. Her husband saw it. And they had named it Eddie the Yeti. And it, they said it was huge, 9 or 10 foot tall. And then like my second trip up there, this was in, I'll say 2011 probably. My second trip up there, I was camping. I had my tent set up. And the lady of the house, I'm not going to mention her name, and they don't even live there anymore, but the lady of the house and her 2 sons were camping out in the yard. So, and then another lady that I got to meet through the forum in Oklahoma, she lived in Oklahoma. She was there with her son. So we had 3 tents set up way out in the field across behind their house. And they had like 90 acres. So it was, we were 300 yards from the house, probably across the pond and everything. But so we had 3 tents set up. They had the girls' tents with the 2 ladies, and then the boys, all the kids, and then mine. And we had a big pop-up canopy set up. And like the second night, we were under tornado watch, and it was heavy winds coming in. And I broke down all my equipment and put it in the truck because we're literally playing it by ear. We might have to make a run for it out to the house or the barn. So it was a full moon, but it was dense cloud cover, and the wind was blowing so fast, it was almost like a strobe light effect with the thicker clouds and thinner clouds. It was just bright and thin and dark. And the lady of the house and all the boys, they went in because of the storm was coming. And the wind was, 20, 30, maybe 35 mile an hour, just keep it breezy. And so me and the lady, her nickname on that website was Old Crow way back in the day. So some of y'all might remember her. But we sat out there with a little fire pit, and we hunkered down under the canopy. We were holding on to it because it kept jumping up in the air. And we heard some loud branches breaking in the tree line, like right in front of us. We're in the grassy field, but the tree line started maybe 30 feet away. And we were facing that. We heard some loud branches breaking. It sounded like a truck coming through. We're like, oh, man, what the hell was that? And then we didn't hear anything. We're chatting. We're just yakking and talking and holding on to that thing. And she looks up and looks at me, and her eyes are like this. She says, I think we got company. And I looked up straight ahead, and there he is, standing there right at the edge of the tree line, just right in the shadow, a couple feet back into the tree line. And he was huge. I mean, his shoulders were 4 feet, at least 4.5 feet wide. And I'm thinking 9 or 10 feet tall. Seriously, it was huge. Just almost square. He was so wide. And we just looked at him, and he's looking at us, and we waved at him. We said hello.
We waved at him.
No, we did. There's some archived podcasts out there from way back in 2011 and 2012. But we waved at him and said hello and talked to it, and then we just went back to chatting back and forth. And a few minutes later, we looked up, and there's a second one, like maybe 8 foot tall. And we did the same thing. Hello. Hey, hello. And we went to just kind of looking up every now and then, chatting and stuff. We're holding on to the canopy. And then a third one came, and a fourth one, and then the fifth one came. And it was literally the entire family. And I think the second one was the mom, Mrs. Eddie the Yeti, so to speak. And then the little guy, he was like maybe 3 or 4 feet tall. And all of them were standing still except for that little guy. And it was just like humans, just like people. Because that little guy would not stand still. He was just kind of shuffling around and moving around a little bit. But all 4 of them were standing like statues, just staring at us. And it was real calm. You know, there was no aggression, no nothing. And so we just talked to them and wave at them, and we go back to chit chat. And, you know, we didn't get flashlights out or cameras or anything. And it probably lasted 30 or 40 minutes. And then, the wind was picking up, and we're like, it's time to go. So we jumped in my truck and left and went parked right by the barn out of the wind. And that was the end of that whole, encounter. But it easily lasted 30 minutes. And it was the coolest thing. And you couldn't really see their faces because they're right back in the shadow. But you're getting so much of the light from the moon with the thinner parts of the clouds scuttling by. It was like a strobe, And so we got pretty good detail on them, but not really facial features. And that was like the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. I swear, man, that was just so cool. And there's some old archive shows, podcasts, and Lori Phillips way out there in Texas did her show way back in the day, right? And Old Crow was on there too. Night Callers way back in the beginning.
Yeah, Pat, what you're talking about, that waving, I've done that a few times. As far as, to me, it made me feel like, okay, I'm going to acknowledge. And I always tried to just hold my hand up, and I'd wave slow and just let them know that I was acknowledging that I saw, I knew they were there. And, I'd sometimes both hands, show my hands, and I'd bring it back down slow. And, that was my best course of action that I could come up with at the time.
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty much how we did it. And we didn't, it wasn't pre-planned or anything. It was just like, I've been driving out to that property. That was my second trip, or my third trip when I saw him. But the second trip, which was like I want to say maybe the end of February, he literally walked right up on my tent and leaned over the top of my tent. I heard him walk right. He's literally standing next to my elbow on the edge of the tent. Nothing but the thickness of that plastic vinyl tent. And I could hear him breathing over the center of my tent. So he was, and the dome tent is it's tall enough to stand up, and it's not huge, but, he was tall enough to stand next to me and lean over the middle, and I could hear him breathing over the center. And I was just laying in my cot. I didn't move a muscle. My heart was just going. I could literally hear it in my ears, just, my blood pressure just going crazy. And then he walked away. He walked over to we had another canopy. It was me and 2 other guys who we had 3 tents. And I walked over to that canopy where we had our chairs and coolers and stuff set up. And we could kind of hear it going like he was tapping on the metal legs of that tube aluminum that holds up the canopy. And one of the other guys that had his tent right next to that thing, right next to the canopy, he heard it coming. And we're clicking on the radios, just making static. And he reached over in the dark and grabbed his pistol and put it in a sleeping bag and cocked it. He had a 45, like a 1911. And as soon as he cocked it, he put it in the sleeping bag so it wasn't loud, but it made some noise. And as soon as he did that, that thing run off. It took off and it was gone. That was my second trip up there. And the third trip, those 2 guys weren't there. It was just me. And of course, Old Crow and the lady that owned their house. You probably remember her on that website too, the lady that lived there. She went by Fur Babies, I think. That was her username on there.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the coolest place. And they ended up getting divorced and selling the property and stuff. So, quite a few years back. So there's no going out there anymore. I don't know who lives there now and whether they're having any kind of encounters or not, but I would imagine they do, or they have been.
PJ, Pam, thank you very much. Patrick Noble, thank you. Roger, I see your damn comments. I ain't saying thank you.
Thank you guys.
I'm just kidding. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Now we have a goal. We need to save up to go to Portlock.
No doubt. Hey, we get snacks on the plane now.
Now we can afford a bag of peanuts.
Yes, man. Pat, what you just spoke about, that's the reason this old boy ain't. I don't care nothing about staying in a tent. That level of security is zero.
Yeah.
And man, it just makes me feel like I'd be just a 200-pound sack lunch.
Yeah, you're like a seal meal. You're just ripe for the picking. That it was shortly after that when I got my booger buggy.
Yeah. I've got that camper that I've got put together, and I don't care anything about staying in a tent. I mean, that thing would pop that tent open faster than my kid could pop open a popsicle.
Yeah, it's true. But I kind of graduated to that booger buggy because I hauled so much stuff, and it was like I can't sleep on the ground anymore. I put a cot and an air mat, I got it all rigged up. It's pretty comfortable, and especially in cold weather,
Yeah, DA's comment right there. That's exactly right, son. All I can tell you
soft
is
tucker.
if it gets me, I hope I taste really bad.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
needs more garlic.
Pat, like saying,
chicken. Everything tastes like chicken.
no doubt.
Everything tastes like chicken.
Pat, undoubtedly, you've spent a lot of time there on Creepy Mountain, and
Yes, ma'am, Debbie.
those the boogers down there. I mean, did they ever like get belligerent on you at all, or anything like that?
No, it's always any interactions or any experiences I've had there has always been pretty low key and non-aggression. I have not had any kind of an aggression encounter there at all. There was another time I went up there probably about 2 years ago, and I pulled in. I was by myself, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Drove all the way around a long way to the lake, and I've been driving 8 hours. As soon as I jumped out of the truck and let my dog out, I heard a way down the holler below that lake. It was almost like a greeting, It was like, hey, really loud. It was probably several hundred yards down at least, but it was had to have been pretty loud for it to carry up through all those trees, and because it's really thick down up in there. But as soon as I pulled up and jumped out, I didn't do any kind of wood knocks or calls, or I didn't even blow the horn, nothing. It was almost like a greeting.
Yeah. Do you ever feel, or does it make you feel like that they recognize you and know who you are and are used to you?
I think so, because I've been traveling up there for so many years with that trailer. I mean, literally, I think I got that trailer in 2009.
Yeah.
And it's been a constant progression of what I, add to it or change it or whatever, but it's the same green camper. And I've had several trucks, but they've all been dark gray trucks. So, I'm sure they recognize me. I really do.
Over time, just say year by year, could you tell did it even stand out? Like if over time that they were more used to you or comfortable with you to the point of having more encounters or anything like that?
I think for several years, yes, but now it's kind of tapering off, going the other direction. Like me and Willie were just up there when Spencer came down, maybe a month ago, and we didn't really hear, Willie heard something behind his tent, like a rock or something got thrown back there in the pines, but I didn't hear it because I was on the other side of my little camper, so it was blocked. I didn't actually hear it, but he did. Yeah. And I think I know they're still there, but I think the activity, at least interaction, is tapering off some. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're bored with me. I don't know.
Well, we don't do calls up there anymore or any of that. We're doing calls. We quit putting stuff out up there for them. And to the club, by it changing hands several times and part of the land getting took over by another hunting club, I wonder had a little impact on some stuff. It does seem to be a different atmosphere up there than it was years ago. But, Pat, if you remember, one night, me and you had that one right behind the pine tree.
Yeah.
And he kept peeping at us, you know, and then Hattie pulls up on his four-wheeler with his, you know, German Shepherd. And, you know, we done been watching this booger 20 foot from us.
Yeah.
And, you know, kept playing peekaboo with us. And, you know, we told Hattie when he pulled up, we said, hey, and of course, Hattie pulled up close to the pine tree where the thing was.
Yeah.
We said, Hattie, there's a booger right behind that pine tree. He said, huh? He had his wife with him. And I said, you might want to come over here with us because you're right on top of him and he ain't moved because his eyes were still there looking at us, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, he came over and the German Shepherd come over, wanting to play with us and petting. And then the German Shepherd realized the booger was there.
Yeah.
And that's when the German Shepherd charged the booger. And that's when the booger growled, and we all heard it very well.
Oh, yeah.
And that dog put his brakes on and done a somersault trying to get back to us and went up under your trailer and wouldn't come out till Hattie got ready to leave. And this went on for a good hour, how close he was on top of us that night. So,
yeah, that was yet another pretty cool interaction. Right, literally right in the same spot by the lake where I camped. Right there, same spot.
Where? Hey, Mark, you might as well go ahead and talk about the time that your sister-in-law tried to crawl up your back.
Yeah, we were having that outing. That was the first one that Pat and I can't remember who all was there now. There was a bunch of people there. There may have been, 30 of us?
Probably, yeah. Not everybody was camping, but there was people there, a lot of people.
What we had decided to do was Jim King was there that night, and he wanted to make calls from the lake, but he wanted some of us to go branch out into the club. So Mr. Tao and Keith went in one truck. Me, my sister-in-law, and at the time, my daughter Kat was with me, and Hattie went with me. And then I think you, Pat, and I can't remember who else went.
No, I stayed by the lake. I stayed over there by the lake. Remember, Mike McLean was there, and I stayed over there at the lake.
Well, somebody went up to the clubhouse, and I can't.
I don't recall.
Right. But anyway, once we all got where we needed to be, Jim King made some calls. And in between us and the lake, there was some calls got answered, come out. Pretty good screams.
Mm-hmm.
He made a few more calls. Then he got answered again. The whole time I had my hunter ears on, and I'd been listening to something creeping toward my truck. You could hear the creeping noise. You'd hear the little twigs snap here and there. And I told my sister-in-law and Hattie, I said, something's getting very close on us. And I done started getting nervous, so I put my daughter Kat in the truck. Something told me to put her in the truck. And she'd probably been in the truck maybe 5 minutes. At the time, this was a short cutover. It was about 4 to 6 foot tall. So, the pines were planted, but they were young pines. You can see a lot of the other hills back in. You can see a good piece in directions. And plus, we had little radios, and I was talking to Keith, and I told him, I said, something's over here by me. I said, I keep hearing it creep around. He said, well, me and Mr. Tao will come over there. Well, he cranks up his truck, and, of course, I see his brake lights come on, and I point in that direction. I said, there they are. Well, as soon as I done that on the back end of my truck, I see something just start rising. And I see this big 8-9 foot Bigfoot standing at the back end of my truck. I'm at my door, my driver's side door. And I say, oh, Lord, there he is. My sister-in-law turns and she screams. Next thing I know, she's on my back like she's trying to climb. Hattie is over here. He had went to the Jeep to get something out of the Jeep. And I hear him say, oh, Lord. Well, what got me about this booger, and I've told people time and time again, his eyes looked like the Twilight Zone, the black and white swirls that you would see on the Twilight Zone, the swirls.
Yeah.
That's why his eyes were looking. And I looked at him. Of course, I was looking up. He never made a racket. I never seen him do anything. And then he just turned and he hauled butt through that cutover. And I could see the pine trees swaying as he went. Well, about that time, Keith and Mr. Tall pulled up because they wasn't far from us. And I'm sitting here, shook up. We're all shook up. And because that's when I realized how big these things were. This is when I got my first taste how big they can be. That one in Lowndes County, like I told everybody, he was in the 6-7 foot range. He didn't look that big to me. This sucking gun looked big, And of course, Mr. Towel gets out, and I start telling him and Keith what we saw. He said, "Well, come on, let's go into cutover." He said, "We might be able to find some tracks." And you could see the way the thing went because he broke over pine trees when he left. He stepped on pine saplings and just broke them. So we started following them up into the cutover, and we came to a dirty area that was just dirt. It was that red dirt like here in Alabama. And right there in that red dirt, there was 2 footprints just as pretty as you could be where he went through there. And you could tell where his feet were hit, when he went down. I mean, he dug dirt out. And we went back the next day and we measured them, and they were 16, 17 inches, if I remember correctly. And we didn't make no cast of them or nothing. But, I mean, he was stepping on pine trees that big around, just snapping them off as he went up through there. And
That, Mark, let me point out, that's exactly the same spot that Willie was just talking about a few minutes ago with the rock, when we were doing the rock clacking. Exactly within 20, 30 feet of that same exact spot at the 4-way.
Right. They're saying that 4-way has been a very active place ever since we started. That, the beaver pond, the lake, the clubhouse. Back up, all that one holler is connected.
Yeah.
It starts way back over toward Merkle Mountain, comes all the way down, but past number 4 field, number 3 field, the women's field, the dove field, and the lake. And that's where a lot of stuff has transpired on that club.
Yeah.
Right there, that little 2 mile radius area right there where the bulk of it has happened. I mean, it's been in some other places, but the bulk's been right there. That Pat's had his experiences, most of Willie's. Just about everybody that's ever come there. That's where the bulk of it has happened right there.
Well,
Willie's got some more to talk about. We don't want to forget about Willie.
well, come on.
Right.
Did you have that audio that Willie sent you? Can you play that?
It won't. The link won't. It doesn't go anywhere.
Oh, okay. All right.
Back and tell you that, Willie, but I got busy and forgot. I found the email, but the link doesn't open. It doesn't go to anything. What else about Creepy Mountain before we jump down to Florida?
Well, what about when you were up there that first time a year ago?
Well, people have heard me talk about that.
Okay. All right.
Now, I will say we didn't talk much about like this last time that I was there. The thing about Creepy Mountain is, if you go there, at least in my experience, I've only been there twice. But to me, it's one of those places where they're there.
Yeah.
Thank you, 3D Havoc. Thank you. They're there, and it's just a matter of, are they going to be active this time? So the very first time I went, the first time I met Pat, the first time I met Pat is the time I talk about where we were cooking ribs on the grill. We saw the light across the lake. We heard the huge owls calling, and then we went back. Then we came back and we saw whatever they were, the shadows that moved in between the trees that were darker than the night. I really, that one kind of freaked me. I've never seen that one before. It was just weird seeing something move like that. But this last time, whenever I went camping with Pat and Willie, Mark came up and ate dinner with us one night, and but during the night we were up there, and during the day we were out wandering around. We took some roads, and there's so much work up there being done and everything that some of the roads look a little bit different. We got sidetracked and drove around all over the club, but we didn't have a lot last time, at least not in my opinion. I will say the interesting things. Do y'all remember whatever that bird was whistling, that single whistle, and I whistled back at it, and then it would whistle, and then I whistled at it, and it would whistle? That was kind of weird. Possibly.
Well, that was pretty neat.
Do what?
I said that was neat.
Possibly the rock gets thrown while we were all there, while we were eating dinner or getting ready for dinner. And then Willie found a bone up on the hill beside that field. I didn't think to make that into a thing to show on here, but I can show it on Facebook. But it ended up being a bovine, a cow's hip socket, and it was a smaller one. It was smaller. It didn't look like it was full grown. But he also found some other leg bones up there right with it. Willie, did you think those leg bones, did they look like cow to you? They didn't to me.
No, they didn't. But I mean, I don't know much about bones like that anyway.
Yeah. I had to look up that hip socket bone, but I thought it was a small skull of some kind that was broke, but it was a cow hip socket. So, Mark, if you got neighbors right around the club that are missing cows, they might want to start checking up on the club on Creepy Mountain.
Yeah, in the past, there's been cows went disappeared, goats. You know, we found a boneyard up there one time, you know, that was loaded with cow bones, deer bones, and it was in a place that nobody would have carried their carcasses and dumped out at. So,
Spencer, what you was talking about whistling, I've had these things here. I've done it for several years. If they would whistle, like I'd hear them whistle, I'd whistle back at them. And then if I didn't get a reply, sometimes I would whistle again, give it a few minutes and whistle again. And if they replied to me, like if I done just a short monotone whistle and they would like mimic it to play with them, I have absolutely take and whistle twice and see if they would whistle twice, and most time they would. And then I may whistle once and they'll whistle once. And then you may throw in whistle 4 short whistles. And I'm talking about just change it up. I had one whistle at me one day for the better part of 30 minutes. And it was back and forth and back and forth. And it would absolutely mimic whatever number. And if I done 2 short and 1 long, or if I done 2 long ones, it would, whatever I did, it would do the same exact thing.
See, up here, it's a little bit different for me going down y'all's way, because up here, like if I do a whistle, you might get like a mouth pop or a rock clack. Or if you do a knock, you might get a whistle back. Sometimes you'll get a knock back. If I do a whoop, I get knocks a lot. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think they behave different in different areas, but they're all basically doing the same thing.
You do calls from your house though, right, Spencer? I mean, you go out there and make calls at your house.
From here once or twice, but I don't think they're here all the time. I think they might move through here once or twice. That's my opinion.
I know Greg doesn't. Mark, do you all do them from your house?
I hadn't done any calls from the house. You know, it's been a long time. Last time I done a call on Creepy Mountain was when we were you and Sherry that night.
Yeah.
And, that's the last time I've done a call up there.
Pat, what about you and Willie? Do y'all do them from where you live, from your houses?
It's gotten to where they don't really reply much anymore. I think, they've gotten used to it over the years. But
Yeah.
at one time, Willie and his wife and the girl I was dating at the time, we went up there for, I guess it was 5 days, right, Willie? And we camped way down in the back against that other creek, that little branch down in there. And it was maybe the first night, I don't remember, second night, but we didn't have any audio equipment or out anything at all. And
yeah, that's when all them crows were up on top of the ridge.
Yeah.
When we got back, and then they went away, and then they came back just before dark. Yeah, that was wild.
And then, like right after dark, the girl I was dating, her name is Dee, was trying to, because they kind of getting used to us making calls and kind of quit replying, and Mark's experienced that too up there. But so anyway, I talked her into just doing a scream. I was thinking, well, a different voice, a girl's voice, something. And she was arguing, well, I don't know how to do a Bigfoot call. I don't know how to. And I said, just do a girl scream, like in a horror movie. Just do something. And it was just after dark. And she let loose with a loud, scream like you'd hear in one of those slasher movies, those B movies where everybody's getting stabbed and chopped up with axes and stuff. And as soon as she let that out, like immediately after, it was a perfect, exact mimic of her scream, her voice, but 10 times louder, just down the creek bed. And we're like, oh, crap. We didn't have audio out, or, we're just sitting around the campsite and just fooling around. And she got an immediate response for that. She was pretty freaked out. We're laughing. Oh, cool, but we didn't capture it on audio. But it was really close, too. Remember, Willie?
Oh, yeah, that was wild.
Yeah.
It was really hard to tell where it came from because it was so loud.
Yeah. And we camped there several other times. I think we've been to that spot at least 3 times that I can think of, way down in the back there.
Yeah.
The last time we camped there, we literally had to take machetes and small hatchets and stuff and chop our way because the road had gone all overgrown. We literally had to chop and clear the road to get back down in there. The last time we went.
All the stuff that's happened over at the women and kids field.
Oh, yeah. We weren't there for most of that one night because me and Willie went off driving around. But you guys were there, and Connie Willis was there, and a whole bunch of Rusty was in there.
Yeah.
Who else? I can't remember who all was there because the people were coming in and out. But we were camping on that field. Yeah, go ahead and tell that because we were gone. I can't really explain it all.
Well, you were there for when all the talking was going on up behind us in the woods.
Yeah.
Tony was with us that night. Me and
That's
him,
right, Tony.
His daughter came, and then I had, Jonathan and Kat with me, and y'all were right down below us, and Willie had went down to the other end of the field and pitched his tent down there, kind of off to himself down there.
That's because he snores like a rhinoceros. We made him go over there.
What I was going to ask. Oh, excuse me. What I was going to ask y'all guys, if y'all ever been lucky enough to hear these things communicating back and forth, and we'll just use Cam's word, Ghibli. If y'all been lucky enough to ever hear any of that?
Yeah.
That's what that's what went on that night. They got up right behind us, and Tony he's a friend of mine that never had experienced this stuff, and we'd all been laying down for maybe an hour. And I started hearing back behind us. I kept listening. I said, who is that talking? Then I heard Tony say, Mark, because his tent was right next to mine. He said, who's behind us talking? And I said, I got a sneaky feeling there ain't nobody in our group. And about that time, buddy, they really got to chattering up there. They was doing this, all this back and forth, kind of like you talked about.
Yeah.
And I think Connie heard it finally. I think it woke her up. But they got louder with it. I mean, they got pretty loud back there behind. And this went on for an hour back there behind us. And I mean, if I'd had a recorder running like I should have, I would have caught every bit of it. Now, Adam Bassett caught a lot of that stuff like that from up there. The times he went up there and left him, had them recorders running. and he caught a lot of that jibber jabber, as I call it. And I mean, 30, 40 minutes of it, you know, going on at times, and all that stuff. But now, yeah, there was something else went on in that women's field with y'all that time, and I can't remember what it is now. I can't remember. Something went on. Something got something out of the truck or something that night. I can't remember what it was.
I don't recall now. Like I said, I've been up there so many times. They all them trips running together. I don't even recall now.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I've probably been up there close to 100 times, maybe in 15, 16 years.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah.
There were several years I was coming up 3 or 4, maybe even 5 times a year for stretch there.
Wow. Now, Mark told us that, or he's told me a few times that you're really thinking about trying to retire in Alabama.
Yeah, I'm working with a realtor, and he's looking for properties for me. Matter of fact, he sent me some info on a 28-acre tract near Sylacauga just the other day. I guess it was Wednesday. And Mark, since I was down here, Mark was nice enough to take time Friday morning and go drive over there and walk it with that realtor. So he's working on getting some other info on it. And, you know, I'm going to move up there and build, or move up there, find the right property and, you know, buy a house and land. But somewhere in the next year or two, I'm going to sell the house and the cabin down here and just relocate. Maybe 2 years out. I don't know. It's, you know, playing it by ear, but that's my goal up there, to get moved up there.
Okay.
But then only be about 2 hours out from you, hour and a half.
Yeah, you won't be. Yeah, I can be at Mark's. I can leave right here, be at Mark's house in about an hour and a half.
There you go. Yeah, I know I drove right kind of near where you lived when I've gone through Sylacauga and then going up to Cumbo's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you go right on up through there.
Yep. Yeah, it's not. I'm about an hour from Coonbo and about an hour and a half from Mark, or maybe closer to an hour and 45. But yeah, it wouldn't be bad. Yeah, you bet. What are you gonna do? You're going. We still got some pretty good mosquitoes, but we don't have those mosquito dactyls like y'all got.
Yeah, that's our state bird down here.
Yeah.
He's gonna freeze to death when he moves up here with us.
Well, that's the thing, man. I can take the heat, but you know, once it drops below 63 degrees, I'm chilly. I'm really cold.
Oh man.
So you might only see me during the summer months once I get up there.
Man.
Him and Lori was up here one time and it went down to 15 degrees. Oh, Lord of mercy.
Yeah, it was so cold. There was about 10 feet of ice around the perimeter of that lake. And that, like the third morning, I was so cold, I couldn't even come out of the booger buggy. I couldn't even use, my hands hurt so bad, I couldn't use the lighter to start my little coffee maker. And I just went back to bed and burrowed up under the sleeping bag. And finally, Keith come down there and I yelled out the window, "Hey, man, I'm not coming out until you start that coffee pot." You know, he was laughing at me. He's in a dang T-shirt and a long sleeve shirt. And that's it. He's just laughing at me. I'm like, I'm literally chattering, you know.
Yeah.
Hypothermia.
Man, I can handle the cold a lot better than I can that heat. I can always put on more clothes, but I can only take so many off.
Yeah, but then you feel like the Michelin Man, you know.
Yeah.
Get too many layers on.
Well, so down there in Florida, where you're at there, have you guys ever seen one down there? Have you ever had anything super?
Yeah.
You had one down there?
In the Green Swamp. The first one I ever saw was in the Green Swamp. That was like
from you.
I don't know, maybe 2007. Probably. That was when Willie was on there too. We're, you know, that one group that did the expeditions back then. And somebody had put in a report that they had seen foot tracks and stuff, trackways and stuff behind this little lake. So me and these two other guys started talking to the guy by phone and went out there and started camping in that area. And we had some tents. We had like a tent and stuff set up with 2 or 3 little tents and a little grove of pines and some tarps up and stuff. It was probably about, I would say, April or May. It was getting really, really hot. But anyway, so I decided to take a little tent and go down this little fire trail. Not much more than a 4-wheeler track, you know, like an ATV track. Went down about maybe 200 yards and set up my tent and set up a tripod with my camcorder in it. I didn't even have an audio recorder or anything, nothing. I had a camcorder. So I set it up in the tent right before dark and figured I'd just hit record so it's looking out the doorway of the tent and just hit record. You know, I could pick up some audio, maybe see something, who knows. So about 11 o'clock that night, me and the guy that was finding all the tracks originally out there, he was fishing in that lake, and that's how he was seeing the tracks and stuff. So we decided, well, I wanted to walk down there and get my camcorder. I didn't want to leave it down there, you know. So at the time, I just had one of them little tiny little, trying to get my hand, one of them small little pocket flashlights with the 3 tiny batteries in it. Yeah, it lights up maybe 10 feet in front of you. So we walked down that trail, and I reached in the tent. The battery was dead; it was off, and I just folded up the tripod and threw it over my shoulder and turned around and started coming down walking back that trail. And the other guy was next to me. He turned around, and man, 15, 20 feet in front of us, there's this dude standing there. It's about 7.5 foot tall and about 3.5, 4 feet wide at the shoulders, tall and lanky. He was just, I think he followed us down the trail to see what we were doing. And I reached in, grabbed that camcorder, and just turned around real quick. You know, it only took a few seconds to grab it. He was coming down the path behind us, I guess, following us. And we, you know, with that little bitty flashlight, I got enough to look at him to see what he was. And I'm like, oh, what the hell? You know, we just totally freaked out because we're a couple 100 yards down from the camp with a little tiny little flashlight, no gun, no nothing, you know. And that thing jumped sideways off the trail into some palmettos. And then he was just, you know, with the palmetto branches coming up, he was looking over the top like this at us, doing this number. And then he ran off. And so, we're like, shit, we got to walk in the dark all the way down this trail right past this thing, you know, with a tiny flashlight again. But we did, because, I mean, we're not going to stay out there all night. We're going back where it's safe, you know. So the next day, we walked back down there, and I was, you know, looking at those palmettos where it jumped and was hiding behind. And the tops of them palmettos were like 6.5 feet tall. And I could see his shoulders and his neck and his head above all that. So he was easily 7.5 foot tall. And the whole thing lasted, 5-8 seconds maybe. But at that point, I knew, there's no doubt in my mind what I saw. These things are real. They're really out there. And I was hooked. I used to hunt and fish a lot and stuff. And now when I have time, I just go boogering. I spend a lot of time up my cabin and stuff, but I'm always working on stuff up there, So what I do for fun, for recreation, is I go boogering. I go up the creepy mountain or go camping other places. And Willie comes up and we go out sometimes from the cabin area. We go out. And there's been a whole bunch of sightings right there in that part of the Ocala National Forest as well.
See you, DA. Thanks for dropping by.
See you, DA, brother.
Hey, thanks again for last night.
Yes. We need to touch on that, y'all. If we don't like but just a few subscribers hitting 2,000, y'all. And DA has said that if we get that up to 2,000 subscribers, he's going to donate us a autographed book, one of his books that we're going to give away. And Robbie's been gracious enough that he's going to send us some drink coasters that'll be engraved and for us to give away. And DA's also going to send us one of his Team Odin patches to give away. And I threw it in. I spoke up. I just went in and threw it in that if we get 2,000 by like tomorrow, which that's 48 hours from last night, that Spencer's he's gonna give somebody a rib recipe. I'm gonna donate an hour-long seminar on beard grooming, and Misty's gonna supply feet pictures. So that's what
see, I'll figure this out. Whoever is the 2,000th subscriber, Dear God, JR, I hope you're paying attention to this. Whoever's the 2,000th subscriber, I'm a cook. Like any kind of barbecue that you want. Greg's going to come down there and personally trim your man beard, and Missy's going to give him a lap dance. All I need is
I don't even know anything about how did I get through into any of this.
Oh, mate.
1,999. JR just has to unsubscribe and resubscribe at 2,000. It'll all work out.
No doubt.
No.
Uh,
No on both. And any other ideas y'all come up with.
hey,
You don't show up for shows. We're left to defend ourselves.
no, I'm just. Hey, look, everybody in chat. How proud of y'all that Misty is back with us?
Hey, I about had to cancel today, y'all. I thought we was gonna have to take Layla to go get her foot checked out. She got stung by a bee, and her whole daggum foot is swelled up like crazy. It's hard. Her toes about that big.
Well, is she doing okay now?
She's in there laying down. I'm gonna check her when we get done. I may have to take her and go get a steroid shot or something. She took some Benadryl, so we'll see what happens.
Let me ask you this: how long has it been since she got stung?
She got stung yesterday, but it's just swelling more and more.
All right, let me give y'all a little piece of advice for today. And this is what a guy that used to hunt with us, he was a surgeon. My cousin got eat up on top of his bald head with guinea wasps. I mean, they flogged him 7 or 8 times. All right. The guy that hunted with us, that was a surgeon, he saw it all happen. And, you know, most of us are rolling around on the ground because my cousin's beating these wasps off his head. The surgeon goes, I'll be right back. He goes to his truck and he comes back. And he had one of the little round roll packs of Rolaids and acid, Rolade and acids. He took that, went into our camp house and got two metal spoons. He put 2 Rolade tablets and took those spoons and crushed them and just ground them up. He took a little bit of water and made a paste. And I'm like, what are you doing, Doc? He said, here. And he went to dabbing that big wads, like, you know, used to they'd say put chewing tobacco on it.
Yeah. He
said, don't mess with chewing tobacco. He said, take the Rolade, and he would mash that paste on that sting. Of course, he made sure that the stinger wasn't still in it. But he took that paste that he made from the Rolade, the antacid, and he packed it on it. He took his thumb and kind of mashed it on his head, and he kind of rubbed it around. And, of course, I had lots of questions. I was like, what does that do? And the surgeon told us, he said bee venom was acid base. He said, if you could get that antacid in that little hole, it would help neutralize the venom. So for years, that's what one of our go-tos, if you get stung, is you can put baking soda, Rolade, Tums, whatever. But if you get stung, you take like a big Tums, lick it a few times and just hold it on it. It'll help neutralize the venom.
That's right.
Maybe
guys.
she needs to try that. JR's sister's allergic to bees. She gets stung. She's got to get one of the EpiPens or whatever. But I told Layla, I said, you should have took a Benadryl yesterday whenever you got stung and put some, she put some plantain and stuff on it. And it seems like it's going down, but I'm just going to keep an eye on her because, I mean, when they were kids, we didn't have a problem out of them, getting stung and having to worry about it. But I don't know if maybe she could develop an allergy to it as she got older or what. But I know that's horrible. She can't even hardly walk. She said, I went to Walmart with Hunter yesterday. She said, I felt so bad walking around with him. She said, because I looked like I was all cracked out the way I was jerking around walking. If you were to see her walking through the house, she looks crazy, bless her heart.
Oh, my gosh. You can give her some Benadryl, she'll go to sleep.
She took some. I think she's back there napping. She looked like it when I checked on her.
Man.
Yeah, a lot of them older guys I used to work with at the marble quarry, Tums and Rolaids has like 90% calcium carbonate, which is marble in it. And they'd make paste. They say it suck that venom right out, like ant bites, bee bites. So that guy's that surgeon's hitting on something,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've only ever heard of the baking soda and tobacco thing. I've never heard of the Rolaids.
Yeah. See you, Robbie.
Or is he leaving?
Yeah, he's
talk to you later.
Yeah. And guys, hey, Robbie and DA both, man, they gave us one heck of a shout out last night. My gosh.
Well, Willie, have you ever seen a booger in Florida?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I have not seen one, but I've seen a lot of eye shine and a lot of silhouette. I saw a silhouette one time, but it was really a strange deal. And, that story I told you about being on 471 with and playing my flute and looking across the street.
Yes.
Yeah, that's about the closest I've come to seeing one. But that was more paranormal stuff.
Well, speaking of the paranormal, since you just brought that up, are either of you guys, have you had paranormal experiences? And also, before I forget, go ahead and give it to me if you've ever experienced anything that might have been Dogman, or if you believe in that. We got to go down that road at some point.
Well, Dogman, I don't know. I just think it's probably another breed of this type of animal or whatever, just like they have the 3-toed ones over in Texas or whatever, or Mississippi bogs or wherever it's at. We have the 5-toeds here, just like they do up in the West. But I've seen more paranormal stuff doing this than I have seen Bigfoot stuff. So, and it's just, weird stuff like orbs and lights in the sky. And then that one story I told you about when we had a friend of me and my wife's, we were up at McNeil. We were on the outside of where you park to walk in or to go into McNeil, which is a campground in the Green Swamp. We were up there at night, and then we were just had parked our trucks against the fence, and the tailgates were facing the road, which is 471 that runs like right down the middle of the Green Swamp. We were sitting there and just talking about stuff, and what was surprising is the road was really busy that night too. Normally it's not, but it was busy that night. And then on the lulls, one of my friends, Carolyn, she saw something on all fours run across the road, and she saw the eye shine first, and then she saw it on all fours run across the road. And then her husband thought he saw eye shine on the right-hand side in the bushes over there. So I got up and grabbed my flute. I got a Native American flute, and I started playing it and walking towards the street. And that's when I saw that just like a blackness in the bushes across the street. And then I saw eye shine, like it just opened his eyes, and it was 2 red dots, glowing red dots. And I'm playing my flute, getting walking a little closer to it, and then all of a sudden the lights went out, the 2 eyes went out, and it sounded like a freight train was coming at me. And so I turned around real quick to run away, but then I thought in the same instance, dummy, that's what you're here for. So I turned back around, and when I turned back around, it had stopped. I didn't hear anything anymore. And all I saw was this, the dark silhouette, not silhouette, but arch on the other side. But and then the road started getting busy again. So it was getting late, so we took off. But me and my wife went back a week later because I wanted to see how high these eyes were. I had her walk across the street, and she walked across the street and went down. There's a ditch on the other side, and she went to where I couldn't even see her anymore. I mean, that's how, low the ground was over there. I told her to put her hands up, and I saw from here up. That's what I saw. And she's as tall as I am. So that had to be like, 7.5 foot tall where the eyes were at in this thing, if it was there, But again, there was no arch in the trees when we went back that time either. It was all greenery. And on the other side of it, there's a patch of woods that's probably about 10, 20 feet wide. There's a cow trail where they take and do the, what do you call it? Where you run the plane on the dirt to make the cattle trails. You know what I'm talking about?
Like a box blade or fire trail?
Yeah. Yeah, where the dirt's all screwed up and stuff just for the cows. And and there was no tracks. We stayed over there for a half an hour looking for tracks, and but that was the weirdest thing I saw out there. Other times were just we'd be out in the McNeil campground and we'd walk out to the field. The McNeil campground is like right on the Withlacoochee, and it's kind of down in where, you know, Florida's not up and down that much, but that's one of the lower parts. And if you walk out the road that goes there, you go out into this big field. And a couple times we've turned around and looked, and it looks like there's searchlights in the air. You know, like when they're having them big special shows where the searchlights are going back and forth like this, and they're shining up in the sky, and there ain't nothing back there, you know.
Pat, have you ever seen orbs?
No, I don't think I have.
What about the supernatural stuff?
No, I can't say that I have. If I did, I didn't know. The only thing I can say.
You seen some up there at the lake one time, Pat. If you remember, me and Keith was pointing them out to you. There's over there floating around where the S curve starts. The little balls of light floating around.
Back beyond the point. Yeah. I don't know what that was. I mean, it was definitely weird. I don't know what it was, and I guess maybe it was paranormal. I don't really know. But it was definitely strange.
I think a lot of this stuff is hard to categorize anyway.
Yeah, one of the guys that we used to hang with, I won't mention his name anymore, but he brought a psychic out there to McNeil because we were getting so much weird shit going on out there. And this psychic was supposedly going to read this 22-inch cast that he got of a Bigfoot that he got from Land Between the Lakes. And she kept saying stuff more about spaceships or blue lights in the sky and green moss and stuff off this track, but there was nothing about Bigfoot. And come to find out that track was faked. Huh. But she had said a lot of stuff like there's a hanging tree out there where back in the southern days when they used to hang people for just about anything. There's a tree that when you're coming down, like I said, when you're coming down from the field into the McNeil, there's a big ass tree on the left-hand side. And they called that the hanging tree because she was saying that people had been hung from that tree. And then one time when at McNeil, McNeil is where a lot of the stuff goes on for me. But I was back there and I was standing between two friends of mine, David and John Brejnahan, and we were looking across the Withlacoochee to the other side, and I was seeing flashes of light like someone was taking pictures with a camera, and this was at night. I was seeing flashes of light going off, and I'm looking at these guys, to see if they're reacting. I'm looking, they're not reacting at all. I said, that's fine. I go, are y'all seeing anything across there? No, we're not seeing anything. And that was one of the strangest things to me. Then I knew, my eyes are fucking with me, something's going on. But then I realized that some people see these things and some people don't. And the only thing I can explain it is we all vibrated at a different frequency. So,
yeah.
They might not see something that's in my frequency. Then I might not see something that's in their frequency, But she told us that there was a portal across that water, this psychic did. And that we'd hear, we go, what do you mean by portal? And she goes, you'll hear weird stuff over there, probably, elephant trumpeting or lions roar or different stuff like that. And I have heard lions roar out there, which another thing kind of flipped me out. But yeah, that she had come up with a couple of interesting things out there.
The lights flashing like cameras, like a camera flash. That's kind of what I think that we saw across the lake, Creepy Mountain, that time out there. But I think pretty much everybody saw that. I mean, we were all looking. That is weird. But what you're talking about with that being on a different vibrational level, man, I see a lot of people on different shows have made some really good points on that here lately. I'm starting to wonder if some of that doesn't come into play.
Well, that's the only thing I can fathom that why I would see something that they wouldn't, someone else wouldn't, or they're just not open to it. I don't know. My wife's kind of a sensitive. She sees things, too. So I've been exposed to that for 40 something years,
Well, maybe being around her has changed your vibrations, and maybe you can.
Well, have you ever had any near death experience or hit by lightning? Maybe.
No.
Okay.
No. But I've always I when my mom passed away, she came and visited me, and I knew it, and that was back when I was 18 years old.
Wow.
I mean, maybe some people don't need to have a near-death experience or get hit by lightning. Maybe some people were just born already a little bit adjusted, a little bit more sensitive. Who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah. Where did Pat go again?
I don't know. I guess this phone shut off.
Maybe. Well, we've covered a good bit of territory anyway. It's been almost 2 hours.
Hey.
Yeah.
Damn.
Anything else you want to talk about that we didn't get to cover yet? Any other interesting things? Or he just texted me. He said he's trying to get back in, but he's losing connection.
Well, the only other thing that stands out to me is the reason I started looking for other people to do this with is because I started out after I got booted off the BFRO group, for not being a lemming. And that happened pretty quick after I got involved with those guys. But I started going out by myself. I had a 4-wheeler, and I'd go out to what I call 5 points out in Ocala. And I was baiting in an area called Billy's Bay. And by baiting, I mean I would take elephant garlic stuffed in a nylon stocking and hang it from a tree to get the smell out there to bring them in. Because talking to a couple of people, they said that brings them in. Also, dog food pouches. I would split the dog food pouch and hang it from a tree so that squirrels can't get to it or a bear can't reach it. And peanut butter. I wouldn't tighten the peanut butter lid down, but I'd open it up to where it was kind of loose. And I was, like I said, I was baiting this area by Billy's Bay, and I was working on my 3rd jar of peanut butter because the stocking didn't do anything; it was still there, and the dog food pouches were gone. But I just attributed that to it could be anything, But what was more to me was the peanut butter jars. They were just completely gone. I never found them, and so when I was going to put another peanut butter jar out there. Got off of my 4-wheeler when I could ride my 4-wheeler till about 50 yards to the wood line, and because that's when the trail stopped. So I'd park it there, and I'd get my stuff on. We get for hiking, and I grab a bat because I was going to hit on a tree. And all I carried with me back then was just a big old Bowie knife, So I'm getting ready to start walking up there, and all of a sudden I heard something snap in the wood line, which is like I said, about where this was, it was probably 70 yards, 80 yards away from me. And I'm sitting there, and it was a pretty big snap, too. So whatever it was weighty. And, I waited a few seconds, and I didn't hear anything. Oh, maybe it was just a big-ass deer, because I've seen some big deer out there. In Florida, don't have big deer, but, you see every once in a while, you see one. And then I heard another crack, and I stopped. And then right after that crack, I'm looking over there, and I heard just a grunt, like a, boom. And it still to this day, it gets me. It was like it froze me in my tracks. It was like a wave. The sound wave came and went right through me. And I found out later they call that infrasound. And this thing, so I was standing there. I was trying to move, but I couldn't move because I wanted to get the hell out of there. That scared the living shit out of me, the way it went through me. So finally, after a few seconds, it started to fade, and I was able to put everything back on my bike and hauling ass. So I'm looking back behind me the whole way, thinking something's going to chase after me. And that's when I started getting up on the forums and looking for other people to go out with, because I looked down at my knife and I said, if something that can make a grunt that loud to go feel, I could feel it, like standing in front of a bass speaker. That's what I equate it to all the time. like standing in front of a bass figure and the bass was thumping that bass, And well, yeah, that's when I actually hooked up with the group I'm with, the ISRT and stuff. And a little later on, got back with Pat when he was going. Actually, he was looking for someone to go up to the Creepy Mountain with him. So I volunteered, and ever since then we've been going everywhere together.
Yeah. I used to go out quite a bit by myself, and then I had one time where I got really disoriented and didn't know what was going on, and that kind of freaked me out. So since then, I've not gone by myself, normally with someone.
Yeah, I'm usually good for navigating in the woods. I can walk in some place and keep my eye and realize where I'm at, where I'm way past where I was. I do make land checks for landmarks and hit the trees with the knife to make marks to keep from getting lost. But the last couple of times I went out, and it was with these guys, I was showing these areas, this place called Knox Creek out there in Green Swamp. And everything it changed, this time, because it'd been probably a year and a half since I've been out there. But it completely changed, and I started freaking out because I was getting lost. I didn't know where we were at, and I'm trying to show this guy that I'm with where we're, this place, and he's calmer than I am, But then finally, when I stopped and started freaking out where I stopped at the first time, and then we backtracked, and then we backtracked 3 or 4 times, and finally I noticed we were at the same point that we first started to backtrack. I said, we need to go a little bit further. And sure enough, another 50 feet through these big, thick palmetto bushes, there was the road. So I was heading in the right direction, but I just didn't, trust myself enough to keep going. And that happened to me twice now. So I think that's from getting old, though.
Didn't that happen one time to you up on a hunting club, too? Willie, didn't you have something?
Oh, when I was on my 4-wheeler, I was way off on the other side where I've never, ever been before. And got turned all around, yeah. But I knew on this one road, I knew it had to cross the road that I knew where I was at, and I did. But the problem was there was trees down where I couldn't get the 4-wheeler past it. So I had to go back and backtrack and found another road going in the same direction, yeah. Yeah, that was kind of freaky. I was wondering. I was gone for like 3 hours when it was supposed to be just a quick trip down the road,
Hey, Parker. See you in there. All right. Well, hell, I guess Pat's going to be able to get back in here. Mark, you got anything else you want to touch on?
No, I just I really enjoy when Pat and Willie come up. Made a good friendship years ago, and it's still going. Even we don't get to see each other, but I've been down their way a couple of times. If y'all ever get to go experience Florida, y'all need to go experience Florida. That's a whole different atmosphere around Ocala, down in that neck of the woods. And I always look forward to them coming up, and spending time up on Creepy Mountain and everything. So I always enjoy their company.
That last time we were up there, that thud, you heard that too, didn't you? When we were up there that last night, I think, or not the last night, we were eating up there. And I was coming from my tent, and that thud, yeah, I could not find anything, a log or a rock, because it had to have been a big rock that would have made that thud. I could not find anything that would make that much noise on the ground back there. All it was skinny stuff and no rocks, That's why that was weird.
Yeah, it definitely something came and hit. Just what it was, really, just don't know, but it was.
That you mentioned a foot stomp. Maybe it might have been a foot stomp. That could have been possible.
Right, that could have been that, and
well, that's
then
just,
I know.
We looked, didn't find the rock.
Right,
Possibility. It hit the tree and hit the ground. I don't know where it went.
Unless it came back and got it during the night. I mean, you never know. You never know.
Well, all right. Squirrel, House, y'all got anything else?
No, Mark, you got anything coming up soon? You doing anything? You fire pit nights or anything? I know it's been hot to try to do stuff like that here lately.
You talking to me, Misty?
Yeah, Yin's going to do your fire pit nights and stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Well, we were supposed to have it last night. We had thunderstorms rolling in. It was hot, and I just worked off a shutdown yesterday morning. And I just decided, and plus it being 4th of July weekend, I just decided to call it off. And plus, Pat and Joe was on last night on the Not Your Typical Bigfoot show, and I really wanted to watch that for them live. And by the way, Kumbo was on Dogman Encounters with what's his name, Jeff Nadoni, or however you pronounce that last name.
Really?
I sent some of y'all some messages in Messenger that Kumbo was on.
I'm not even checking yet, Mark. I apologize. I'm behind on all my messages. If I've not responded to anybody, I've got a lot.
I posted the one about Pat. I'll go back and find the one about Kumbo. I saw it, but I didn't think to post it. But I'll throw it up on Woodwalker's Facebook page.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Jeff Nadolny.
I didn't know. I wasn't sure if it was the hot if you guys were doing it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on there.
Well, now that something? Was that Mark? Was that something they pre-recorded on Jeff's show or what?
I think it was because after Joe and Pat went off, I went over because it came through. Somebody sent it to me. I can't remember who sent it to me, and I went over and listened to it, and it wasn't in a live mode when I was listening to it. I was listening to the recap, I guess you call it, but it was pretty good. I listened for a little while till I got sleepy. I just still wore out from shutdown, so I crashed pretty early last night. So.
Yeah, I talked to Kumbo day before yesterday. I didn't talk to him yesterday, but he didn't say anything about like doing a show this weekend, so it must have been pre-recorded. So who knows? But he's still trying to get moved in his new house.
Mm.
But he can't. He's been waiting on him for nearly 4 weeks to get the power turned on.
Well, hopefully he'll get in there soon.
Maybe he'll be in there for fall, winter time. That way, when we start having these outings and get-togethers, he'll be able to make them and everything. So.
Yeah. I hope he's going to be in it within the next few weeks.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Well, look, we got you and Spencer on the same program, and we're all in here. So, what y'all come up with this big game plan for about the end of September, 1st October yet?
Well, we're not positive if that's going to be a meet and greet. There's still some variables. If nothing else, guys, we will have a meet and greet in the spring. If we don't have one this fall, we will have one in the spring guaranteed. But we got to work out a few things. It's not as easy as just saying, hey, everybody meet here at this place at this date. But we'll put the word out there as soon as we know exactly what's going on, and we'll do it a few months ahead of time so everybody has a chance to plan.
We checked out a few places, and they was wanting to charge a lot of money. At one place you checked out, Spencer, what, $1,000?
$1,100.
$1,100, and that's just renting a place. I think it was still the campers had to pay their own fee, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was what they wanted to do. Was they said how many people, and I said, well, at least 100. I said it could be 200, and they said, well, we'll figure 150, and our rates are this. And I said, well, y'all, if you're going to get 150 people there at one time, and a lot of us have YouTube shows, and you're going to get recognition from that, and probably some residual people coming there and camping and everything, they wouldn't give a discount. They were like, oh, because these are our rates. If you said 150 people, this is 150 times this. And like Give me a break.
Yeah,
That's too much money for a get together on the weekend. And that place I have no personal experience with. I don't know for a fact that boogers are there like they are at like LBL. And guys, everybody does have to keep in mind that wherever we have meet and greet might not be the most boogery spot. It's hard to find a place big enough to accommodate that people. Am I froze up again?
No. Not to us, you ain't.
All right.
Mine was doing that too. I kept seeing the little circles, and I was like, "Am I frozen?"
Yeah,
I don't know. It's been messing up through the whole thing.
Yeah, I've watched
mine's
it
been
during
doing
the
it
whole
too.
time during
I
the
know
whole show.
you can see it.
Do swirling.
Yeah. Well, whatever. We've gone 2 hours. Willie, thank you. I will talk to Pat directly. I appreciate you getting on here and telling us all the stuff that you did. Everybody else, it's hot out here, and I got to work tomorrow, so I guess this is a wrap. Everybody take care. DA, hey, just on the off chance that you're on this channel and you're not subscribed to DA and Robbie's show, DAX Machina, go subscribe to DA's channel. They're great people, and Greg and I were on there in the chat last night, and it was a good time. It's a lot like it is on here. Where did Willie just
run him off? What? You're such a person. You done run him off. You're like,
Yeah.
I gotta go. So get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Willie?
Here's Mark and Rebecca's channel. Y'all make sure you check them out. They've got a lot of good stuff.
And look, yeah, and maybe I hope that everybody on here is also subscribed to Squatch and Holler. Y'all go hang out with Roger. He'll have a show again one day. I don't know when.
There's Rogers. You can pause it and check it.
Hey, we got a lot of great people in all our chats, man.
Yeah,
man. And we got more people coming on every day. We reached 1,000, about a month ago, and I looked at it today. We're still growing, and y'all growing, and Roger, and I mean the channels are moving along, and everybody's getting along real good. That's the biggest thing I like. Everybody's getting along, and supporting each other. So that means a lot right there.
Look, I'm just happy today to see. Look here, right now, Christy's still hanging in here with us, and hope she's doing a whole lot better.
Yep.
Ray's been in here stirring up hate and discontent like usual. We're proud to say she's getting froggy again. we got worried about her for a while. She kind of got rough shack too. So I hope everybody's doing good, y'all. Just glad to see everybody here. Yep, Moggs is in here with us today. Stevie's in here. But yeah, I'm just glad to see hope everybody's doing good.
Take up.
Yeah.
I keep getting popped.
I will, Patrick. I will.
All right, y'all. Well, where's the thing here?
Well, big love, everybody.
Yep. Y'all take care, and we'll see on the next one. It's hard to get
Sunday, y'all.
Sharon,
hey, what about next week? What do we got planned?
I'm waiting.
You got a plan for next week?
No, why?
If I can get Cambo down here, we may do our miracle cast, because that's going to be before DA does his surgery. And hey, there we go.
I want to do the in-depth show with the psilocybin. I want to have Cambo and DA on there because they can both weigh in heavy on that.
Let's try to shoot for Sunday then. We can make it happen.
All right, we'll see. Y'all, we may have an off next Sunday. We may have no show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, talk to y'all later. Y'all take care. Stay
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mark. Bye.
See you, Mark.
Bye.
Squirrel.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Spencer. Spencer. We're swapped around again.
Huh?
We're swapped around again.
Yep, I know you do it on purpose.